Pamilyar tayo sa away magkapatid. I can sense in our gospel reading today something of that sort going on between these two sisters, Martha and her younger sister Mary, while they were in the company of Jesus. In English, they would call it a kind of sibling rivalry. They are both trying to do something for Jesus. They're trying to be good hosts. One is doing it by preparing some food in the kitchen. The other is doing it by engaging Jesus in a conversation. It was her way of entertaining the guest. And it looks like Martha cannot make up her mind as to which one she prefers to do. Nainggit ba siya? Is she jealous that her sister seems to have chosen the better parts? I find it a bit strange that, it was Jesus' attention she called. It would have been more polite sana if Martha said, Lord, can I talk to my sister for a while, please? Tapos pinagsabihan siya, why don't you help me in the kitchen? Pero yung to say what she wanted to say to Mary by saying it through Jesus, well, something's really not right. And, they're both trying their best to entertain their guests. But sometimes some people would rather do the cooking than the entertaining. Mahirap din kasi yon, especially if they are not the socializing type or are not good conversationalists. I wonder if these sisters had agreed beforehand which part they would rather take. Ano-ano ang toka nila. Sometimes without realizing it, siblings can be acting out of a kind of rivalry right in the company of their guests. And the guest is caught in an awkward position. Maraming examples of sibling rivalry in the Bible. Some of them ended tragically. Katulad nung story of Cain and Abel. Some of them started badly but ended happily, as in the case of Jacob and Esau, his brother, or as in the case of Joseph, who was the object of his brother's envy for being their father's favorite son. And of course, there is the story of the two sisters, Rachel and Leah. Story din siya ng sibling rivalry. Their situation is aggravated by the fact that the younger Rachel, although she was the one Jacob really loved and wanted to marry, hindi magkaanak. She could not bear children. She was therefore thought to be sterile. The rivalry between the two sisters is finally healed when Rachel herself is able to give birth to a son, and that's Joseph, who became the favorite son of Jacob. At syempre, familiar tayong lahat. We're all familiar with the parable of the prodigal son. The prodigal son and his older brother, who is resenting the fact that his father had welcomed back the wayward son, his wayward younger brother. I like the way Jesus is dealing with Martha in today's gospel. He reciprocates Martha's straightforwardness with the same kind of straightforwardness. First, he speaks about the one thing and the many things. Martha, you're so worried about many things, and yet only one thing is necessary. I wonder if he meant the one goal, the one objective that they had of welcoming a guest, and the many different things related to doing this task. And among these tasks, one might get the more difficult part, while another gets the easier part. One might get the not so pleasant part, and another the better part. Okay, let us presume that Mary got the better part. Now, Jesus is talking like a big brother to both of them. A big brother who's teaching Martha, Martha, not to give up, but to give in. Iba yung giving up sa giving in. Yung giving in, yung nagbibigay ka talaga o nagpaparaya. It's Jesus' way of saying to Martha, alam mo, sa totoo lang, hindi naman kayo magkalaban eh. You're not competitors. You are sisters. You are both my friends. And that what matters most is the one thing necessary, that both of them enjoy the company of their guest. And their guest enjoys their company. Ang hirap mag-enjoy ng company kung nag-aaway itong nag-entertain o nag-welcome sa'yo, di ba? And Jesus is assuring them, you're just each doing your part. And I assure you that I appreciate you both. You know what Jesus is doing here reminds me of that famous prayer attributed to the saint whose feast we are celebrating today, Saint Francis of Assisi. Remember that famous prayer attributed to him, to have peace or to be instruments of peace. It matters that we do not seek so much to be consoled as to console, not so much to be understood as to understand, not so much to be loved as to love. Why? Well, he says, because it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life.